Guys, I appreciate you getting me a chair, but you really should have gotten one for Darlene too, so. Because I knew she was going to take mine. You know, obviously we appreciate very much your presence here tonight, and there was nothing unique about our situation. Many of you, your immediate family, you've gone through cancer or a crisis. In fact, how many of you have cancer or have had cancer? So just look around at the number of people. You know, my ministry has been, and I've tried to live, you know, and sometimes it's not easy. If, you know, the saying, if life gives you lemons, make lemonade. If life gives you cancer, celebrate. You have to do something that says, I am more than human. And that doesn't mean that you are looking at yourself, but you're looking at the fact that you were created by God with an eternal design and purpose. And cancer or nothing else can end God's plan for your life. You know, the only thing that can halt us in our journey towards God is our own rejection of God's will and His idea. I remember a few years ago sitting here with Mike Talzer's dad. MR was facing cancer, and we did a very candid interview, and so many people have been blessed by that interview because they've listened to the DVD, and it's passed through a lot of hands, and you know, our family certainly would not have volunteered for this position, but God has put us in the situation where as leaders, you know, the example that we set, how we deal with this crisis, this disappointment, is the real, I guess, testimony to God. As we talked in Bible study this morning, you know, character is not what you do necessarily when people are watching, but it's what you do when you're all alone. And so I think part of this is our witness. We realize that people are watching. But what Darlene and I and our children and her mom and our extended family, what we're going through, is simply a public display of what so many of you go through. And hopefully we can learn from this experience, and we ourselves can help you to implement some of the things that we want to celebrate from God. We do want our testimony tonight to be based on God's Word, and we have agreed, Darlene and I, in talking, that there were some key points that we wanted to make and then talk to you about those. So me being the talkative one, I'm going to lead first from the book of Job. In the land of Uz, there lived a man whose name was Job. This man was blameless and upright. He feared God and shunned evil. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised. In all of this, Job did not sin by charging God with wrongdoing. First thing that we want to share with you is that tragedy is a part of life, and especially the young people who are down front. If you think that the real hallmark of life is to be able to live without any problems or disasters or hurt, that if you go to church and you study and everything has been going to be wonderful, someone has misdirected you, because that's not at all the way it is. This is not life is not meant to be a rose garden that ended for us when Eve made her choice, you know, and Adam followed. And Darlene and I, as we've looked at this, she shared with me a thought about part of why she has cancer.
Just like Bill said, all of us have something. It's just life. You know, someone asked me, why? Why does these things happen? And I said to them, it's because of the evilness in the world, because of sin. God did not make me sick or make anybody else sick. It's just because of the sin that's in the world. And so I don't blame God or blame anybody else for this. It's just part of life.
In a world without sin, there would be no cancer, there would be no disease, no illness, no sickness, none of those things. But all of this we suffer because we have sinned. And I don't think that we have to directly make an application of that, but indirectly we know that we live in a fallen world, and we are still going to experience all the consequences, the results of that brokenness. Joanne Reniger, I met her on the elevator this morning after Bible study, and she was talking about her Sunday school class. And Joanne, it was just perfect timing, as God always works. And they had placed gifts on the table for the children to choose a gift, and in the middle there was a very large, extravagant-looking gift. But that gift was not the thing to be treasured. It was the other small gifts. And she talked about the children as they reached out and took the smaller gifts. And we think just, what a wonderful world it would be had there been no sin. But we can't cry over spilt milk. The only thing that I can say to you is that there's a wonderful world to which we're going where there is no sin and no consequence of sin. And that's what our prayer was about earlier. If there's one person who doesn't have the peace that Darlene and I have right now, and we are disappointed, we are apprehensive, we are frightened, but we have a peace that is genuine and unreal because we know what awaits us in eternity. And again, this is, we take the good things of life, but we also have to accept the tragic things of life. Our second point that we agreed on was...
I would much rather sing than talk, people.
This is going to be a lopsided testimony.
Yes, it is.
But I will have to say that when Darlene and John sang this morning, and I know I am biased, but it was absolutely awesome. She just... And for those of you who don't go to the movies, you have to pick up the theme of what's going on in our lives and in tonight's service. It's not by coincidence that pretty much the songs and things that we have chosen were also featured in the movie True Grit. I have never seen the original, but Darlene and I went to see the remake about the time that she was to be diagnosed with cancer. And we learned through that, that these things in life, they do come. But you have to know that there is a God that you can hold on to. And so the music tonight, and I appreciate Michael and the groups working with the theme, because those songs tell the story of what should be the theme of our lives. We have a wonderful fellowship with God, and He is the one that we can lean on, and no matter how things look on this side, we know that everything is great from His point of view, and that He's going to bring us through. The Gospel of Matthew says, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden." Our second point is never curse the darkness. I don't care what you face, how difficult it might be, whether you are the one chosen to be unemployed or your home burned or you to face cancer. Don't ever just stand there and curse the darkness. We can be the light of the world. The darkness is not a problem. It is a tremendous opportunity that God has given us to shine in such a way that we impact the lives of others. One of the things that, Darlene's oncologist is not a professing Christian, but it's amazing how God works. And when we sat there in Dr. Gandhi's office and he delivered the news, I am going to ask Darlene to share that experience.
So when he told me what I had, and I said, "Dr. Gandhi, I'm a believer, and I know I'm going to make it. And God's going to be with me." So I thought, this is my way of being a testimony, being the light of the world to people who do not know Christ. And when I read this, "You are the light of the world, a town built on a hill cannot be hidden," I thought about 3 years ago, when I went through the back surgery. And that was a major, major surgery for me because I had never been to the hospital. And as all of you know, I hate needles. So when I was waiting in the room before they took me into the surgery, a song that I had sung the day before, "What a Friend We Have in Jesus," and that kept going over and over and over in my mind. And that's what kept me going through the whole back surgery thing, that Jesus was the light, he was with me. And so this time, I told Bill when we were talking about this, I said, I don't know if you remember or not, but when I went to the liver specialist, he was the one who first told me that I had cancer.